Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Parent Prescription. Last week, we had a really special episode where we invited one of our second graders to get real honest glimpse of what their life is like at that age from their perspective. Okay, she did a really good job. Thank you, Taraya. As you listen, you probably realize something. Their world is a little bit more emotional and more complex than something we might give them credit for. Okay, and so today I want to kind of build on that conversation so we can know about the earlier elementary school age. After hearing directly from a child, I'm going to share my perspective as a pediatrician. What I see every day in this age group, what's actually normal, and what I really wish parents understood about their children in those early elementary school years. Because first and second grade, first, second, third grade might look like easy years, but they're actually some of the most important when it comes to emotional development, behavior, building confidence, and relationships. So let's get into this dose of Dr. C. So, as I mentioned, we had Taraya come in last week and she gave the perspective from a child. Early elementary school, so we're talking first grade, second grade, third grade, early elementary school are important years for our children because they are trying to become more independent, but they need a lot of help still. They're still pretty emotional. They're out of that, toddler child phase, but they still need help. They still don't know how to express themselves well sometimes. They are learning how to deal with their emotions and deal with their education and some responsibilities like chores and things like that. And so some things that as a pediatrician I want you to understand about your early elementary school age child is I want to give you just a few things, okay? So the first thing is they're not little adults. They are not little adults and we cannot treat them like little adults. They are children, little children, okay? They're not toddlers, so they should be a little more in tune and responsible to what's going on around them, but they're also not should not be considered as little adults. We have to make sure that their responsibilities match their age, okay? And also we have to realize that their frustrations are okay, okay? And so when it comes to communication and then verbalizing the things that they need, sometimes they don't know how to do that, and that's okay. Sometimes we have to help them understand what they're thinking and what's going on. They may act one way at school and one way at home, and we don't understand that. Where the teachers are saying, we don't have a problem at all. We're doing great. We're following the rules. We don't have any trouble at all. They do well with structure at school, but then we get home and we fall apart, or we have to remind them a bunch of times to do something simple like pick up something or clean their room, or we just don't feel like they are listening as well to us as parents. And it's because the structure and they kept it together all day at school, and then home is their safe space. Home is where they can just be free and just let it all out. And they may be a little more emotional at home and tell you more. And you wonder, do they cry a lot at school or do they have issues at school? And the teachers are telling you, I haven't seen what it is that you're talking about, but I'll pay more attention. And they're saying, we're doing fine. We socialize, we do well with others. I don't see what you're seeing. And it may be just because after keeping it together all day, I'm emotionally drained and I let it out at home. And so we have to make sure that we're keeping it a safe space for them to be free and be themselves. Okay. Now we do want them to learn that the same way we follow instructions at school, we want to follow instructions at home. That may include you guys as parents having a little more structure at home. You may have to even do like a here's your free time. As soon as you get home, you get an hour of free time, and we can do whatever we want with that free time, whether it's TV or go outside and play with your toys or read a book, whatever you like to do. And then we get into, okay, do we have homework? Let's do that for 30 minutes and then take another little break. You may actually have to put down a list. So just like at school, they know what class is next and they know what they're doing in order. They may have to know that all the way up until bedtime to make it easier to follow instructions at home or follow the system at home. School has a certain system. Home should have a certain system also, because just because there's freedom doesn't mean there shouldn't be structure. Okay? And structure helps children. Children like structure. They may not enjoy it, but they need it. Okay? And so that's one thing is home is a safe space. They may have different emotions that they have at home than at school, and that's normal. Sometimes we feel like our small children are too emotional or are not controlling themselves enough as far as like meltdowns. And I don't want to call it tantrums because that's usually our 2 and 3 year olds. If they're still having tantrums early elementary, then that's a problem. But as far as not being able to express themselves well, they may get overwhelmed at certain things. You've had school all day long and you come home and we had mom had to stop at the store, and so we had to go to the store and behave, and then we had basketball practice, and then now we're just now getting home and mom says take out your workbook, you have to do your homework. Like it could be a little overwhelming for that age group. And so we have to remember that they can get overwhelmed even at that age. They can get overwhelmed. They can have stressors or triggers that can cause them to have not tantrums but meltdowns. That we need to be able to realize that okay, you need to take a moment. Let's just sit here for a minute and not do anything, or take a breath and explain to me. The good thing about that age is they can explain to you what's wrong. They can tell you what they need or what's going on. If you ask, we have to take time to figure out what it is that the problem. Okay, we have to make sure we ask those questions and not get frustrated or think they're being bad. Okay, they're not being bad. They're trying to express themselves and they may not be doing it the right way, but we can explain that to a 7, 8, 9 year old that, hey, wait a minute, we're going about this the wrong way. There's a better way to express yourself. Okay. School. We think first, second, third grade, this is the easiest time ever. Really, there shouldn't be any issues with school. Okay. That's how most of us parents feel. There shouldn't be any issues. You should be making good grades. Your behavior should be good. There shouldn't be any troubles there. But school can be mentally exhausting for children, especially if they didn't do daycare or pre-K. They started off with kindergarten, and being around that many people, being in a classroom setting for that long, having to learn new things all the time, having to learn new rules, new teachers. Sometimes there's substitutes, and then their rules are different or they're look more strict than my actual teacher. Those things can be, I keep using the word exhausting or overwhelming or a trigger. But even though we feel like these are early years and school should be simple and we shouldn't see any troubles, we have to make sure we walk them through it, what it looks like, what we expect, expectations, praise them on good days, praise them for good grades, for reading their AR books, for remembering to bring their AR books home. They're given more and more responsibilities as they're getting bigger, and sometimes that's hard for little kids. We just have to make sure we're their advocate and their champion, and we're helping them navigate the early years, and then it kind of becomes natural to them. School becomes a normal thing, but at the beginning, some kids don't even want to be there. They'd rather be at home with mom or dad, and they're wondering why are we doing this every day. And so we just have to help walk them through that and not consider them as being bad or making bad choices. It's just it can be an emotional time and it can be exhausting mentally. So make sure you give them a little break before you jump right into homework. Friendships. Friendships. So this is where they are learning how to make friends, learning how to share more, learning how to go up to people and talk or sit with different people. And sometimes they'll have a best friend, and then the next day there's somebody else's best friend, and that's a lot to a little kid when they say, "Well, they didn't play with me today," or they said I'm not their friend, and then a week later they're their best friend, or my friend tripped me on the playground, or when somebody else fell, my friend laughed at me. These things seem so small to us as parents, minute, right? You're like, okay, she wasn't your friend. Did you play with somebody else? Like, did somebody else play with you, or what's the big deal? Like, basically, a who cares? We can't show them that we think that it's minimal. We cannot let our kids know that we are like, okay, it's not that serious. We have to make sure that something that's serious to them is also serious to us, that we show interest and concern where they're concerned, because it gives us a way for them to be open with us. And that open communication earlier, you've heard me say this before, when you give room for them to express and talk when they're little, they will continue to a certain point, that open communication, talking and feeling comfortable with you later. Don't be dismissive of your littles. Just because they're small does not mean what is serious to them is not something that we need to take concern with. Okay. You might even find out some things that are going on that you are like, oh, that is concerning. Maybe I should go up to the school and talk to them about that, or ask them to watch that. And give the teacher some insight too, because they have 20 to 25 kids in one class, and that may be a little challenging for them to recognize what's going on with every single child. But if they're comfortable talking to mom, they may not be comfortable talking to the teacher. And so those things give your open communication, give you things that you can talk to the teachers about at parent teacher conference, or even through email. And so make sure we are realizing that learning to share, learning to make friends, losing friends on and off, um, being social, learning how to be social can be challenging for some children. Um, and we can help them by finding out who they're close to and inviting them on play dates, or inviting them over to the house to hang out for an hour or two on the weekend, or just asking them questions about their friends, letting them know that you are aware of who they're socializing with. Common things that we may say as parents is, um, you know, they're being bad, or they are being dramatic. Stop being so dramatic. It's not that serious. They should be over this by now. Um, these are these are things that we can think, but we shouldn't say, because our little ones are taking those things in, and they may be trying to make us happy. With most kids are trying to make their parents happy. And when we say these things, it's like another jab at them, that they've already been jabbed at school by whatever the issue is, or whatever it is that they are bringing to you, or the concerning part, or that they're having a tantrum or a meltdown about. And us being like, okay, that's not that serious, or you should be over that, or stop throwing a tantrum. Or when we dismiss them with those comments, they're soaking those things in emotionally, and now it seems like you're not on their side either. And so it doesn't take much. It may take time, but it doesn't take much to just sit back and listen to what they're saying and respond in a way that they know that you see them. It helps them navigate through these early childhood years, to know that there's somebody that listens to them and hears them, and is on their side. So the dramatic and short tempered, and this should be over, and this is too much, and just go in your room and talk to yourself about it. Those things shouldn't be said to our little ones. Okay. In closing, I kind of just want to give you a takeaway. If you have a child that's in the first, second, or third grade, you just have to recognize that they are still learning. It's a learning process. They are still learning how to deal with their emotions. They're still learning how to deal with new and old friendships. They're still learning how to juggle school and home and homework and the process of growing up and maturing a little bit. They are still learning how to be independent, and they have to do it. And sometimes they're not confident about it. They have questions. They're a little self conscious about certain things, and what they wear, and what people are going to think. And these things are a normal development for this age group. And we have to help walk them through it without being dismissive or without disregarding their feelings. And so, even though it may be minimal to us or frustrating to us, it can be huge to them. We have to, they're learning how to navigate their world, and we have to be a part of their world that's a positive part. Okay. And so, tonight I'm going to give you homework. Instead of saying, did you have a good day? And that give them a yes or no where they can say yes or no. Why don't you give them an open-ended question? What was the best part of your day? What was the worst part of your day? Did anything happen that you want to talk about? Like, let's give them space to say more instead of just expecting that everything went well. And then let's start learning how to allow them to let us help them walk through these early childhood years. Okay? Parenting. It's fun, right? Early childhood years. This is my take on it. Thank you.